Hello, this is HM Powered, and welcome to my first ever commentary video. This video will be a tutorial on the Galaxy Eyes deck that I've been using in my previous videos. Before we start talking about the deck, I will first give you guys some background about myself. I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! 20 years ago when the first set was released. I have been playing Duel Links on and off over the last 4 years. I played Galaxy Eyes for the very first time in Master Duel on launch day. I have no tournament experience in any Yu-Gi-Oh! Format. What I do have, however, are very powerful logic, comprehension, and decision-making skills, which allows me to find the right line of play on the fly. Now, as for the guide, I will start by explaining each card in the deck in order of appearance in the deck editor. Then I will cover Photon and Galaxy cards not included in the deck and give reason for their exclusion in this particular build. Finally, I will go through some sample hands and explain what plays can be made while going first and then going second with the same hand plus one. I will end with a showcase of what tweaks can be made to the deck list and alternative build directions that the archetype can get into. Now let's get started. Photon Thrasher cannot be no summoned or set. Must be first special summoned from your hand while you control no monsters. Cannot attack if you control another monster. This card is a great opening play which pairs well with Photon Advancer, Photon Vanisher, and Photon Oribital to go into rank 4 Xyz monster. It has enough attack to satisfy the summoning conditions of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon and Galaxy Eyes Sail Flare Dragon. Since it cannot be normal summoned, multiple copies of this card are usually dead draws, so this deck list only plays one. But since it can be found with reinforcement of the army, you are effectively playing 2 copies. There is a non-bow with Galaxy Brave. If this is the only Photon card in your hand, you can only summon Brave or Thrasher, but not both. Galaxy Wizard. Once per turn, you increase this card's level by 4 until the end of the turn. You can contribute this card, add 1 Galaxy card from your deck to your hand, except Galaxy Wizard. This is a very versatile card that can open up multiple lines of play. You can use this card to summon a rank 4 or 8 Xyz monster, or to search for a Galaxy card which includes spells and traps. Its effects are independent of each other, and both can be used in the same turn. For example, you can make it level 8 to play Galaxy Expedition, then still be able to search for a card. The once per turn clause only applies to its first effect to prevent it from becoming higher than level 8 and does not stop multiple wizards from using their effects. The drawback of this card is that it usually takes your normal summon for a turn. I recommend playing at least 1 copy of Galaxy Wizard. Photon Advancer. If a Photon monster is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Photon Advancer once per turn this way. Gains 1000 attack if another Photon monster is on the field. This card is the only monster searchable with reinforcement of the army that can be normal summoned, and is the reason for its inclusion in the deck. Its special summoning requirements are more restrictive than Photon Vanisher and has no effect when it comes into play. It has an upside of having no restriction on attacking. Keep this card at 1 copy unless you play more Photon monsters. Photon Vanisher. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand while you control a Photon or Galaxy monster. Cannot attack the turn it is special summoned. You can only special summon Photon Vanisher once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can add 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your deck to your hand. An Xyz monster that was summoned using this card on the field as material gains this effect. Banish any monster destroyed by battle with this card. This card is one of the linchpins of the deck, since it is very easy to summon and can generate so much value. Your biggest turn will almost always involve this card. This is why there are 3 copies in the deck, and beyond that, with 3 Photon Orbital and reinforcement of the army, you are effectively playing 7 copies. Its on-summon effect trades favorably with Ash Blossom, so the effect should only be withheld if the opponent can negate and destroy monster effects. Its last effect rarely comes into play, since your rank 4 monsters are usually not attacking. Photon Orbital. During your main phase, you can target 1 Photon or Galaxy monster you control. Equip this monster from your hand or field to that target. It gains 500 attack, also it cannot be destroyed by battle. You can send this equip card to the graveyard. Add 1 Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand except Photon Orbital. You can only use this effect of Photon Orbital once per turn. A very versatile card and another linchpin of the deck. This is one of few cards that you are not unhappy to see multiple copies of in your hand, since it can equip itself to another copy. All of its effects are relevant, and the ability to equip from the hand or field gives you flexibility in sequencing your plays. For example, if the only monsters in your opening hand are Orbital and Vanisher, you can normal summon Orbital and then special summon Vanisher. From there, you can either throw straight into a rank 4 or Link monster, or equip and find another monster depending on the current situation. You can find any other monster in the deck besides the Levianeer. As with any other equip card, you can easily be punished if your opponent destroys your equip target in response to the equip activation. Therefore, if you have a choice of which monster to equip, choose your least valuable monster. The once per turn clause only applies to a search effect so that you can equip multiple orbitals however you please. Galaxy Cleric. If this card is in your hand, you can target one Photon or Galaxy Xyz monster you control. Attach this card to it as material. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 5 Photon and or Galaxy cards with different names in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, then draw 2 cards. You can only use one Galaxy Cleric effect per turn and only once that turn. A very optional card. Its first effect has low relevance to this build of the deck since you do not cheat Xyz monster into play outside of Monster Reborn. Its second effect, however, has the potential to win you the game during the later turns, which makes it an amazing top deck play. Obviously, you do not want it in your opening hand, so play at most 1 copy. Galaxy Soldier. You can send one other light monster from your hand to the graveyard. Special summoning this card from your hand in defense position. When this card is special summoned, you can add 1 Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Galaxy Soldier once per turn. Another linchpin card, and this is one that gives the deck most of its power. This card rewards you for going deeper into the Galaxy archetype and also enables your graveyard effects. The second effect lets you find any Galaxy monster, including another copy, and can be triggered from any special summon. The once per turn clause does not apply to the first effect, which allows you to easily summon 2 copies in the same turn and overlay into Cyber Dragon Nova. In fact, this card is so powerful that Cyber Dragon decks splash 2 or 3 copies just for summoning Nova. An important thing to note about its first effect is that the cost is not a discard. The card you pitch must land in the graveyard in order to activate, so if it would be banished instead, the cost cannot be paid. The cards that you usually find with Soldier are Galaxy Soldier, Galaxy Knight, and Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon, in that order. Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. You can special summon this card from your hand by tributing 2 monsters with 2000 or more attack. During the battle step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can target that opponent's monster. Banish both this card from the field and the target. Return those banished monsters to the field at the end of the battle phase. And if you banish an Xyz monster, this card gains 500 attack for each material that it had when it was banished. This is the final linchpin card, and it's the one that the entire deck is based around. Its first effect does not specify that the tributes have to be face up, so it can be used to play game around Floodgate Trap Hole and Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Its second effect allows it to swing into any targetable monster and clear the way for the rest of the reward on the offense, and on defense, it walls any targetable monster that it swings into. Since it is a quick effect and not a trigger one, a negate that does not destroy or last longer than 1 activation will not stop it from activating again. This card is the only card that enables Galaxy, Photon, and Galaxy Eyes 3 related card all at once, so it is firmly at 3 copies. Galaxy Knight. If you control a Photon or Galaxy monster, you can normal summon this card without tributing. If summoned this way, target 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon in your graveyard, if possible. Regardless, this card loses 1000 attack, and if it does, special summon that target, if any, in defense position. This attack decrease lasts until the end of the turn. This is a very solid card, and this is the reason why you must be careful not to use your normal summon early in the turn unnecessarily. It only has 1 effect, which leads to a series of conditional actions. It requires board presence either from a previous turn or a special summon in order to use it. Play at least 1 copy, but no more than 2, since there are 3 copies of Photon Orbitals and 3 copies of Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Brave. If this card is in your hand, you can reveal 1 Photon monster in your hand, special summon this card, and if you do, its level becomes the level of that Photon monster. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 Galaxy monster in your graveyard. This card's attack and defense become that monster's attack and defense. You can only use each effect of Galaxy Brave once per turn. This card is a great enabler for Vanisher and Knight. You can gain extra stats when you have a target in the graveyard to become a spare attacker. Multiple copies are redundant, but since it can be pitched to trade in, You can play up to 3 copies depending on the number of Photon monsters in your build. Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be first special summoned from your hand by banishing 3 light and or dark monsters from your graveyard. When summoned this way, you can activate this effect. Find the following effect based on the attributes of the monsters banished for the special summon. Also, this card cannot attack for the rest of the turn. Only light, special summon 1 monster from your graveyard in defense position. Only dark, shuffle 1 card from your opponent's hand into the deck. Both light and dark, destroy up to 2 cards in the field. You can only use this effect of Chaos Dragon Levianeer once per turn. This is the only splash card in the deck and is an extremely powerful extender. Whether if it's to recur a monster from your graveyard or to make an extra level 8 3000 attack body, this card usually ends games once resolved. There are no other dark monsters in this build, so you only have access to its light effect. This is rarely an issue, however, since the extra deck is full of powerful rank 8s. It is possible to run 2 copies of Levianeer for access to this destruction effect, but also risky since it cannot be pitched to Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon. If you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. If this card is detached from an Xyz monster to activate that monster's effect, you can take 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your hand or deck and either special summon it or attach it to an Xyz monster you control as material. Then, if you activated this effect during the battle phase, double the attack of all number Xyz monsters you control. You can only use each effect of Afterglow Dragon once per turn. This is a highly potent combo piece and is what gives the deck its high damage potential. Its first effect works with any Galaxy Eye monster, not just Photon Dragon, so you can use it after a tribute summon of another Afterglow in a pinch. Its second effect has maximum value with number 62 Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon to reach at least 11,200 attack. However, if detached on the main phase, the additional Photon Dragon summon can also be used to summon another rank 8. Keep this card at 2 copies since you are effectively playing 12 copies with 3 orbitals, 3 soldiers, 2 expeditions, and 2 melodies. Raigeki. Normal spell. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls. An unconditional one-sided board wipe. Despite its powerful effect, this is an optional card. It does not further your game plan and it's pretty much dead in your opening hand going first. However, going second and in the later turns, it lets you easily solve some boards for much less investment than other options. Monster Reborn. Normal spell. Target one monster in either graveyard. Special summon it. A versatile extender and a good backup plan. Another optional card but has higher priority than Raigeki. Unlike Galaxy Zero, the summoned monster can use its effects, so it works well with Soldier, Wizard, and Photon Dragon. Reinforcement of the Army. Normal spell. Add 1 level 4 or lower warrior monster from your deck to your hand. This card allows you to play less copies of Thrasher and Advancer for the same draw consistency, and is therefore mandatory. It also acts as a 4th copy of Vanisher. Trade-in. Normal spell. Discard 1 level 8 monster, draw 2 cards. This card is conditionally better than Pot of Greed. Its cost allows you to enable your graveyard strategies, which means you can get value from it even if it trades with Ash Blossom. I recommend at least 1 copy. The Melody of Awakening Dragon. Normal spell. Discard 1 card, add up to 2 dragon monsters with 3000 or more attack and 2500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. A card very similar to Trade-in with respect to value, except that you can choose which cards to find. Usually you will find Levianeer and Afterglow with this, but depending on the situation, it can also get a Photon Dragon. Since it can pitch any card for its cost, I highly recommend 2 copies of this card. Photon Sanctuary. Normal spell. Special summon 2 Photon tokens, Thunder type, Light, level 4, attack 2000, defense 0, and defense position. These tokens cannot attack or be used as single material monsters. You cannot summon other monsters the turn you activate this card except for light monsters. Galaxy Expedition. Normal spell. If you control a level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster, special summon 1 level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck in defense position. You can only activate 1 Galaxy Expedition per turn. This card has the most value when using it to special summon Galaxy Soldier for the first time, that turn, which generates card advantage. You will usually use Soldier's effect to find Knight, Afterglow, Dragon, or another soldier in that order. Play at least 1 or 2 copies of this card. Photon Hand, normal spell. If you control a Photon or Galaxy monster, pay 1000 life points, then target one monster your opponent controls. Take control of it. If you do not control Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon at activation, you can only target an Xyz monster. You can only activate one Photon Hand per turn. This card is a very narrow but very powerful removal spell. It lets you out at targetable monsters that cannot be destroyed, which Raigeki cannot do. Since the control change is permanent, it is conditionally better than Snatch Shield and Change of Heart, which are both banned cards. Even without Photon Dragon in play, it is still an Xyz monster, which tend to have the most powerful effects. I recommend at most one copy since it still requires board presence to activate. Galaxy Trance, normal spell. Pay 2000 life points, then target one Photon monster in your graveyard. Special summon both it and one Galaxy monster from your deck with the same level, both in defense position. And if you do, each monster's attack becomes 2000, also their effects are negated. You can only activate one Galaxy Trance per turn. You cannot normal or special summon monsters during the turn you activate this card except Photonic and Galaxy monsters. This card is a very powerful recursion spell with a significant cost. It requires a Photon monster in the graveyard and a Galaxy monster left in the deck with the same level, and additionally prevents summoning of off-archetype monsters during the same turn. In this build, that locks out Cyber Dragon Infinity, Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand, Chaos Dragon Levianeer, Starliege Lord Galaxion, and Dark Rebelling Xyz Dragon. You will generally make an Xyz monster with the monsters that you summon, but they can also be treated for Photon Dragon and linked into Soul Flare Dragon. I recommend at least one copy. Galaxy 0, Equip Spell. Target one Photon or Galaxy monster in your graveyard. Special summon it in attack position and equip it with this card. You cannot attack or activate its effects. If it would be destroyed by battle or card effect during the battle phase, you can destroy this card instead. If this face-up card leaves the field, the equipped monster's attack becomes 0. You can only activate one Galaxy 0 per turn. This card is worse than Monster Reborn in every way except that it can be found with Galaxy Wizard and Photon Lord. Play at most one copy. Photon Stream of Destruction, Quick Play spell. If you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, target one card in the field, banish that target. You can only activate this card during your turn unless you control Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. A conditional removal spell that can hit monsters or back row at spell speed 2. If you control GEPD, this spell can also act as disruption on your opponent's turn. This is the only back row removal in the build, so it should be replaced with another form of back row removal if it were to be replaced. I recommend playing at most 2 copies of this card. Hyper Galaxy, Quick Play spell. Tribute one monster with 2000 or more attack, except Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Then target one monster your opponent controls with 2000 or more attack. Tribute it, and if you do, special summon one Galaxy Photon Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You can only activate one Hyper Galaxy per turn. This card is less narrow than Photon Hand, but it can both disrupt your opponent and enable you at the same time. It has one of the strongest turnabout effects in the game, and usually ends your opponent's turn once it resolves. It gets punished very hard by Ash Blossom, so play at most one copy. Tachyon Transmigration, Counter Trap. If you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, activate as Chainlink 2 or higher. Negate the activation of your opponent's spell trap cards and monster effects be activated before this card in the chain. And if you do, shuffle the negated cards on the field into the deck. If you control a Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon monster, you can activate this card from your hand. This card is extremely powerful, and the only things that it can't stop are summons. Since it negates all the opponent's activations in the chain, it cannot be chain blocked and in fact punishes them for attempting it. The ability to be activated from your hand is very relevant and also applies during your opponent's turn. In my opinion, this is a single card that makes it worth it to go deep into Galaxy Eyes related archetypes, so play as many copies as you can afford to. Starliege Lord Galaxion, 2 level 4 Photon monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 1 or 2 Xyz materials from this card. Apply this effect depending on the number you detached. 1. Special summon 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your hand. 2. Special summon 1 Photon Dragon from your deck. This card is the lowest impact card in the extra deck, but is the only monster that stays on board to summon Photon Dragon from the deck. There's only one reason to use its first effect rather than summoning Photon Blast Dragon. It's better do the same thing instead. That is to fill your graveyard immediately for various effects. In all other cases, you would want to summon Photon Dragon from your hand. You would summon Photon Blast Dragon instead. Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, 2 level 4 monster. You can detach 2 materials from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half the current attack, and if it does, this card gains that lost attack. This card has one of the most powerful combat-related effects for a rank 4, with the attack changes being permanent. Like Raigeki, this is included to answer certain monsters, and is therefore completely optional. Starliege Photon Blast Dragon, 2 level 4 monsters. If this card is Xyz summoned, you can special summon 1 Photon monster from your hand. While this Xyz summoned monster is on the field, your opponent cannot target monsters you control with 2000 or more attack with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, quick effect. You can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon that is banished or in your graveyard. Special summon it. This is your main rank 4 monster. Its unsummon effect gets better with a larger variety of Photon monsters in the deck. Its static effect protects all your reported monsters from being targeted or destroyed. This is the main reason for summoning Blast Dragon. It can also recur a Photon Dragon from banish or graveyard on your opponent's turn. It is best used on the end phase or as late as possible. It also has an interaction with Orbital to have its own protection effect applied to itself. This creates a pseudo-lock for your opponent where they must deal with the equipped Orbital before any of your monsters can be touched. Cyber Dragon Nova, 2 level 5 machine monsters. This card has no relevant effects for this build of the deck, and is always used to immediately climb into the next card. Cyber Dragon Infinity, 3 level 6 light machine monsters. Once per turn, you can also Xyz summon Cyber Dragon Infinity by using Cyber Dragon Nova you control as material. Transfer its materials to this card. Gains 200 attack for each material attached to it. Once per turn, you can target 1 face-up attack monster on the field, attach it to this card as material. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card, negate the activation. If you do, destroy it. This card is ironically one of the key monsters of the extra deck, and it's worth the 2 slot cost. Its negation effect can hit anything but summon, so it pairs well with Hope Harbinger and Photon Lord. Its first activated effect removes any attacking position monster and it attaches it as material, which lets you get through certain indestructible monsters on your main phase. Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, 3 level 8 monsters. If this card is Xyz summoned using Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as any of its materials, all other face-up cards currently on the fields have their effect negated. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card. Detach all materials from monsters your opponent controls, then this card gains 500 attach for each. Also, it can attack up to that many times during each battle phase this turn. This card is only better than Tachyon Dragon in each situations, and with its 3 material requirement, is a completely optional card. Number 107, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, 2 level 8 monsters. Once per battle phase, at the start of your battle phase, you can detach 1 material from this card, negate the effects of all other face-up monsters currently on the field. Also, their attack defense becomes their original attack defense. During the battle phase, if you have activated this effect, each time an opponent's card effect resolves, this card gains 1000 attack, and then until the end of the battle phase, also it can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. This is another key monster of the extra deck. Its effect simplifies combat and punishes your opponent for playing combat tricks, which usually lets you attack however you please. Since the effect attaches material in the battle phase, Tachyon Dragon is the second best wielder of an Afterglow Dragon. It also has support traps which can be activated from your hand while you control Tachyon Dragon. Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand, 2 level 8 monsters. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, then target 1 face-up monster on the field. This turn, its effects are negated, but is unaffected by other cards. This card can either be used to negate or protect a face-up monster on the field. There is an interaction with Afterglow where Felgrand detaches it in the main phase in order to summon a Photon Dragon from the deck. The extra dragon is then likely used to summon another rank 8. Despite being both a negator and an enabler, this card is also optional due to its low stats and narrow negate window. Number 62, Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon, 2 level 8 monsters. If this card battles, during damage calculation, quick effect, You can detach one material from this card once per battle. This card gains attack equals to the combined ranks of all Xyz monsters currently on the field times 200 during that damage calculation only. If this card in its owner's control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, while it has Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as material, you can special summon this card during your second standby phase after activation and doubles its attack. Any battle damage this card inflicts to your opponents is halved unless it has Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as material. Another key monster, and this one is archetype defining. If it has Photon Dragon and Afterglow Dragon as materials, its attack will raise up to at least 11,200 attack, which gives lethal to a monster with 3,200 or less attack. Its second effect, which lets it come back with 8,000 attack, is not too relevant since it takes 2 standby phases from its destruction. Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Photon Dragon. 3 low 8 monsters. You can also Xyz summon this card by using a Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster you control as material except Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Photon Dragon. Once per turn, you can target up to 2 equipped cards equipped to this card. Attach them to this card as material. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, then target one face-up card your opponent controls. Destroy it. A key monster which allows you to transform a defensive unit like Photon Lord into a lethal attacking force. Its equip effect is pretty irrelevant, but its destruction effect can also let you detach Afterglow in the main phase. Number 38. Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. 2 low 8 monsters. Once per turn, when a spell card or effect is activated on the field, quick effect. You can negate that effect, and if you do, attach that card to this card as material. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can attach one material from this card. Change that attack target to this card and perform damage calculation. If a face-up Xyz monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one face-up Xyz monster you control. It gains attack equal to one of those destroyed monsters' original attack. This card negates any spell or on-field monster effect. This makes it pair well with Infinity and Photon Lord. It also has an effect which punishes the opponent for destroying another Xyz monster you control first, which makes it also pair well with Photon Blast Dragon. Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon. 2 low 8 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Monster you control cannot attack your opponent directly for the rest of this turn, except this card, and also take control of the targeted monster until the end phase. But while this effect is applied, it has an effect negated. Its attack becomes 3,000. Also, its name becomes Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon. This card effect limits your combat options, so you will rarely use it while your opponent is above 3,000 life points. Instead, it is usually used to instantly climb into Full Armor or Cypher Blade Dragon, and gives additional value to Cypher Blade Dragon. Number 90. Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. 2 low 8 monsters. If this card has a Photon card as material, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can only use each effect of Photon Lord once per turn. When an opponent's monster activates this effect, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, negate that monster's effect, and if the detached material was a Galaxy card, destroy that card. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you take one Photon or Galaxy card from your deck and either add it to your hand or attach it to this card as material. Since it's the only negator that can enable Tachyon Transmigration, it's the most important card in the extra deck. If summoned using Photon Dragon, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. It can also use its own effect to attach a Photon card as a quick effect. Generally, you will use the search effect to find a Photon Dragon to pitch to Soulflare Dragon, or to find Galaxy Trance as an immediate follow-up turn. Galaxy Eyes Cypher Blade Dragon. 3 low 9 monster. You can also Xyz summon this card by using a rank 8 Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster you control as material. Cannot be used for material for an Xyz summon. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, then target one card on the field, destroy it. If this Xyz summoned monster you control is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster or destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target one Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon you control in your graveyard, special summon it. This monster can be climbed into with any monster that can climb into full armor and can go from full armor itself to whittle away at the opponent's board. This card can destroy face downs, which full armor cannot, and is the trade-off for its lower attack. If possible, leave Cypher Dragon overlaid on this card to maximize the chances of its recursion effect to be activated. Galaxy Eyes Soulflare Dragon. 2 light monsters, including a monster with 2,000 or more attack. If this card is link summoned, You can target one Photon or Galaxy monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can discard one Photon card and one Galaxy card, or discard one Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, then target one special summoned monster your opponent controls. Destroy it. You can only use each effect of Galaxy Size Soul Flare Dragon once per turn. A Link monster with very flexible summoning requirements in this deck. Its first effect will generally be used to rebuy ammo for its second effect. Its second effect lets you disrupt the opponent on their main phase by preventing them from getting value from a special summoned monster. This makes it pair well with any negator. Excel Light, normal spell. If you control no monsters, special summon one level 4 or lower Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck. You only activate one Excel Light per turn. You cannot normal summon or set during the turn you activate this card. This card was cut due to reinforcement of the army performing its role better. In a build with more valuable search targets, this card would be fine to add. Eternal Galaxy, normal trap. If you control a Photon or Galaxy monster, target one Xyz monster you control. Special summon from your extra deck one Photon or Galaxy Xyz monster that is 4 ranks higher than that target, by using that target as material. You can only activate one Eternal Galaxy per turn. This card is very slow, and since there are no rank 12 Photon or Galaxy monsters, you would need more level 4 monsters than this build is currently running to make use of it. Photon Change, continuous trap. Send this card to the graveyard during your second standby phase after activation. You can only use this following effect of Photon Change once per turn. Send one Photon or Galaxy monster you control to the graveyard to activate one of these effects, or if you send Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, you can activate both in sequence. Special summon one Photon monster from your deck with a different original name than the sent monster. Add one Photon card from your deck to your hand except Photon Change. This is a solid card, but needs more Photon monsters in the deck to justify using. Photon Lead, quick play spell. Special summon one level 4 or lower light monster from your hand in face of attack position. This card enables many rank 4 plays, but since this build is focused on rank 8s, this card is excluded. Photon Slasher. If a face-up Xyz monster is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand in face-up defense position. This card has a very solid effect and would be best used in a build with a different extra deck and draw engine. Galaxy Tyranno. When a Galaxy monster you control is targeted for an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. When summoned this way, you can immediately after this card effect resolves, Xyz summon one Galaxy Xyz monster using only Galaxy monster you control. This card's effect is very mediocre and doesn't care about Photon's monsters. It would be best to use to summon Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon in your bonus battle phase. Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon. You contribute this card, special summon one Galaxy Eyes monster from your hand or graveyard except Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon. You can only use this effect of Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon once per turn. If this card is in the graveyard, you can target one Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster you control. Attach this card to it as Xyz material. You only use this effect of Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon once per duel. This card can be used to recur an Xyz monster from your graveyard and attach itself as material. It is also the only Galaxy Eyes main deck monster besides Photon Dragon. Despite its powerful effect, its level and stats make it better suited for a dragon-focused build. Tachyon Chaos Hole, normal trap. When a face-up Galaxy Xyz monster you control is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster or by a bonus card effect and sent to your graveyard, destroy as many face-up cards your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, banish them. During your draw phase, if this card is in your graveyard, instead of conducting your normal draw, you can banish this card, then target one Galaxy Xyz monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. This card has insane turnabout potential, but it's too situational to make the cut. Galaxy Mirror Sage, flip effect. You gain 500 light points for each Galaxy monster in your graveyard. When this card is destroyed and sent to the field to the graveyard after being flipped face up, you can special summon one level 4 or lower Galaxy monster from your deck or graveyard in face down defense position. Banish it when it leaves the field. This card can reset itself on the field to its own effect once. I've been able to win games where this card has bought me extra turns, but due to it being level 3, it no longer makes the cut. Galaxy Eye Cypher X Dragon. 2 level 10 monsters. Once per turn, you can also Xyz summon Galaxy Eye Cypher X Dragon by using a Cypher Dragon monster you control as material. You can detach 2 materials from this card. Your opponent cannot target light monsters you control with card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. Once per turn during your standby phase, you can return one rank 9 or lower Dragon Xyz monster from your graveyard to the extra deck. Then you can special summon that monster from your extra deck by using this card you control as material. This card offers a solid body and a powerful protection effect that includes itself. I chose to craft Cypher Blade over this card due to the easier summoning requirements, but there is no reason why this card cannot be paid in this build. Number C107, Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. 3 level 9 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card. Until the end of the turn, negates the effects of all other face-up cards currently on the field. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects on the field. If this card has number 107, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon as material, it gains this effect. Contribute 2 monsters. This card can make up to 3 attacks on monsters during each battle phase of this turn. This card is usually summoned with a ranked up magic spell card, and there is no room for it in this build. It is otherwise a very powerful boss monster that usually ends the game. Galaxy Stealth Dragon. 2 level 4 dragon monsters. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card. Special summon one dragon monster from your hand. Your opponent cannot target other Galaxy cards you control, card effects, and also those cards cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. This card is better suited for dragon focused builds. Galaxy Dragon. This card cannot attack directly and can only attack dragon type monsters. If this card battles a dragon type monster, this card gains 1000 attack during the damage step only. Also, that monster has its effects negated during the battle phase as long as this card remains face up on the field. This is your main level 4 monster in dragon focused builds. Galaxy Satellite Dragon. 2 dragon monsters. During the battle phase, quick effect, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard. Then target one number Xyz monsters you control whose original attribute and type are Light Dragon. Until the end of the battle phase, its attack becomes equal to the value of its number in its name times 100. Also, any battle damage your opponent takes is half. During your opponent's end phase, you can choose one card from your deck and place it on top of their deck. You can only use each effect of Galaxy Satellite Dragon once per turn. This is a key card in dragon focused builds and combos with rank up magic, the 7th one, to summon Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon if it survives to your opponent's end phase. Starliege Paladynamo. 2 level 4 light monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 2 Xyz materials from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Change the attack to 0, and if you do, it has its effects negated. If this card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card by battle or card effect and sent to your graveyard, draw one card. This card has a very powerful effect which lets you solve certain problem cards. It is balanced by the fact that it is not a quick effect. It is worth making room for this card in your extra deck. Constellar Pleiades. 2 level 5 light monsters. 1 per turn, quick effect. You can detach one material from this card, then target one card on the field. Return that target to the hand. This is a solid alternative to Nova and Infinity, and it's mandatory in builds that include Photon Thrasher. Before we draw some sample hands, I would highlight some tweaks I made to the core deck. Firstly, I added one copy of Trade-In and cut Galaxy Zero from the main deck. For the extra deck, I added another copy of Soulflare Dragon and a Paladynamo, cutting Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon and Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Now without further ado, this hand is decent but forces you to use Trance early if the opponent has Ash. You will start by summoning Soldier, pitching Photon Dragon, and finding a Knight if resolved. Then normal summon Knight and get back Photon Dragon, then summon Afterglow. Overlay Afterglow and Knight to summon Felgrand and use this effect on Soldier, detaching Afterglow. Then overlay both Photon Dragons to make Photon Lord. Then use Orbital to find Vanisher and summon it. Link the Vanisher into Soulflare and rebuy Soldier. This line does not play around Nibiru, but it's the most disruptive board you can make without using Trance. Going second, this hand has more options. Start it by summoning Soldier, pitching Photon Dragon, and finding a Knight or second Soldier. Use Orbital to find a Vanisher, then summon Brave showing Vanisher, then summon Vanisher and activate its effect. Overlay Vanisher and Brave into Photon Blast Dragon and activate its effect. Then overlay the level 2 8s into Prime Photon Dragons. You have 2 cards left for follow-up or to extend the board. This is a very anemic hand. The best line would be to normal summon Orbital to special summon Advancer. Then overlay into Lord Galaxion and summon a Photon Dragon from the deck. Then summon Afterglow and overlay into Photon Lord. Going second, this hand is much better. Start by normal summoning Advancer to special summon Vanisher, fetching Photon Dragon. Overlay Advancer and Vanisher into Photon Blast Dragon and summon Photon Dragon from the hand. Then summon Afterglow and overlay into Prime. The Orbital can be used to have Blast protect itself. This hand is amazing and can get better depending on your trade-in draws. Start by summoning a level 4 Brave to summon Vanisher, fetching another dragon. Then cast trading, pitching a Photon Dragon. If you drew no relevant cards, then overlay Brave and Vanisher into Blast, summoning Photon Dragon from the hand. Summon Afterglow, then overlay into Photon Lord. This hand is obviously even better and has the option to summon a level 8 Brave. Start by pitching a Photon Dragon to trade in and reassess your options. You can then either summon the level 4 Brave into Vanisher and Blast as before, then use Orbital to find a Knight. Or you can normal summon Orbital into Vanisher and Blast to summon a level 8 Brave. Depending on the board state, you can make a Prime, Felgrand, or Cypher Dragon into a full armor to deal with the board. This hand is a brick and the only option is to set Cleric and pass the turn. The extra card we drew does not save this hand and it's even worse going second. Notice that we drew 3 optional removal spells in this hand. This hand is a semi-brick, but we can still make Photon Lord by overlaying Wizard and Brave. The extra card completely changed the hand. In addition to the rank 8 we can summon with Wizard and Brave, the Photon Sanctuary allows us to special summon Photon Dragon and then Afterglow to make Prime. This is a very mediocre hand. Start with Photon Sanctuary and special summon Advancer and Vanisher to fetch Photon Dragon. Overlay into Galaxion, special summon Photon Dragon from the deck and use the tokens to special summon the dragon in your hand. Overlay into Photon Lord and set Transmigration. The extra card improves the hand but does not change the line of play. Going second, I will start as before but overlay into Tachyon Dragon instead and hold the Transmigration for the battle phase. This hand is another brick. Set Cleric and hope to draw Orbital or Vanisher next turn. Going second, we might have some play in reborning an opponent's monster, then tributing it to Hyper Galaxy, and then using Expedition. This hand is very interesting in the fact that we cannot make any Xyz monsters, but can still make a disrupted board. Use Sanctuary to summon Photon Dragon, then set Photon Stream and Transmigration. Hold Rhoda for the next draw. This is still decent going second. If the opponent has a valid target for Hyper Galaxy, open up with Rota to find Thrasher and use it to activate Hyper Galaxy. Then use Sanctuary to summon the dragon in your hand and overlay into Tachyon Dragon. This hand has 4 answer cards in it and is a hard brick going first. Going second, we can use the Photon Sanctuary tokens to trigger Hyper Galaxy and potentially attack for 5,000 damage. This hand looks like a brick at first, but we can create a very powerful board if Brave resolves. First summon Brave showing Photon Dragon, then cast Expedition finding Soldier. Use Soldier's effect to find a second Soldier and summon it pitching Dragon. Overlay the Soldiers into Nova and Infinity, then normal summon Knight. Overlay the level 8s into Photon Lord. This line plays around in the mirror with your 5th summon being Infinity. The extra Brave changes nothing, but luckily we can do the exact same thing except ending on Prime instead of Photon Lord. Over 11 hands going first, we found 3 unplayable hands. Over 11 hands going second, only 1 was completely unplayable. That's an average brick rate of around 19% for this sample. It is worth noting that multiple 1-ofs like Advancer and Hyper Galaxy were overrepresented, and cards like Galaxy Soldier and Melody were underrepresented. Therefore, this sample does not represent the typical performance of the deck. I still think it performed reasonably despite this. A dragon-based Galaxy Eyes deck would look similar to this. This build trades the Photon monsters for dragon-based strategies and can attack from the different axes with access to Galaxy Stealth Dragon and Galaxy Satellite Dragon. A heavy Photon based deck would look similar to this. An advantage to this build would be that it does not care about the graveyard, so cards like Dimensional Fissure does not affect it. You can also focus on light based synergies and play cards like Honest and Goals Unmatched. This is the current build of Galaxy Eyes that I'm playing in ranked matches. As you can see, I cut all of the removal spells in the main deck to add 1 Galaxy Cyclone and 3 copies of Nibiru. In my opinion, Nibiru is the best hand trap to play with this archetype. Since it is a light monster, it can be pitched to Soldier and can be used to summon Soulflare Dragon. With that said, the guide is now over. If this video helped you, please consider hitting the like button, as well as subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications for more content. I will be happy to answer any question in the comments. See you next time!